Welcome to Rock Your Talk. I'm Leisa Reid. Very excited to be here with our guest today, Lorie Marrero. And I am so happy to hear what she's got to say. She's going to share with us a little bit about how to make a captivating presentation slide. And I'm like a PowerPoint little junkie in the background here. So I'm so excited to hear what she has to say because all my stuff I learned on the street. Like, I don't know. I never took one class. So I'm very excited to hear what she has to say about that. Meanwhile, a couple of things that you'll want to keep in mind as a listener. We have some gifts for you. I'm the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now. I help speakers learn how to get booked, stay booked, and attract their clients through speaking. All the nuts and bolts you need to know about starting your speaking business. That's what I help people with. You can get 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs on GetSpeakingGigsNow.com. And that is my gift to you. We've got another gift coming towards you. I also am a trainer with productive learning. We help people with mindset and really understanding that thinking. Like if you have some thoughts and you're not getting the results that you want, how do you figure out how to shift those thoughts around so that you have different actions and then different results? And we have a new course that's free to you. It's called New Thinking for New Actions. You can get that on productivelearning.com/gift. So you already won today. You've already won 2 cool gifts. And now we're going to get to hear from Lorie about her great education. So it's like we're winning all day today. Welcome, Lorie. Before you even get into your topic, tell us a little bit about you so everyone knows how amazing you are. I think.
Well, thank you, Leisa. I have a really unique background because for 17 years, I was a home organizing expert, and I did that on a national/international level. So I've been the, Wall Street Journal bestseller, the, speaker, trainer, all of the things, right? I had a membership site for 10 years and I did all of that and reached the end, and 17 years is a long time to talk about closets. So I said everything I had to say about that, and it lives on my YouTube channel in perpetuity. But now I have a new chapter in my life. So for the last 3 years since I closed that business, I've been helping other people do the things that I did. So I was a spokesperson for all these major brands: Rubbermaid, Goodwill, Microsoft, Staples. People have been asking me forever, how did you do all of that? So it's really fun now. That's what I focus on, is just helping people do that. So it's coaching, it's content development consulting, which is what we're going to talk about today, is the slide thing, and other services that I do that people need.
Wonderful. Yeah, I love, and if you want to check out Lorie's YouTube channel, I mean, yes, she does have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. So, and I even just on a sidebar, and we can talk about this offline, but just being a spokesperson for another company, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that as a job, right? But it makes sense if they want to be represented. So it totally makes sense. And if you believe in their product, why not? So that's pretty cool.
We could do a whole other topic on that. There's a lot to say about that and the partnerships that I did. And so
I
to your
bet
listeners, yeah.
it's a unique niche. Like it just isn't really talked about that much. So
Yeah,
very cool.
it's pretty fun to talk about. We'll do it.
Okay, episode 2 coming at you live sometime soon. So tell us about one of your first tips for creating this captivating presentation slides. Like, what are you seeing out
Yes. Well, we both see some bad slides out there. So there's a lot of pet peeves over the years that I've had. So I've just coalesced them into our tips today. So tip number 1, use a style guide, and kind of 2 tips in one: be consistent.
there?
So a lot of people know that when they start a business, they need to have a logo. And usually it stops there unless they know better to ask the designer for a style guide, also known as a brand manual. So what this is yes, it's your logo, but it's your color palette. Also, usually up to about 3 compatible fonts that go with your brand,
Mhm.
and any other brand standards that the designer wants to specify, like don't ever use this in a horizontal manner or whatever they think, for your logo and your brand. So having that is so important because you have the elements that you need to build things. So I'm not a formally trained graphic designer. I have just learned over the years systems, how to create content that looks legitimate, world-class, real, like a designer did it. But
Yeah.
it's because I know the structure and I have those elements to work with. And so that second half of the tip is be consistent. So you have the style guide, use it and use it religiously. Don't go 2 shades off your color. Don't play with new fonts. Just use those fonts, use those colors, and don't stray from that. And you're going to have a much more professional look.
Oh, that's a great tip. I think I'm like, maybe 75% there. Because yeah, so I'm thinking as you're saying this, I'm like, okay, I'm consistent I'm definitely consistent, but I could get more, you know what I mean? It's like if I was really looking with a magnifying glass or a microscope, it's like, oh, there are definitely times where like I won't use the exact same font. I'll use within a presentation, I'll use the same font, but it's not, that's what I'm saying. So in that sense, I'm consistent and the colors I use are consistent, but it's not so much that they match my logo, that brand,
Yes.
what'd you call it? Brand package,
The brand manual or
the
the
brand
style
manual.
guide.
Yes.
Yes.
I,
Yeah, and there can be exceptions, right? So if you're creating a product, like I have an ebook, that maybe I've used a few different fonts in the ebook that I would use on my own website, but there's still that continuity of my brand, and it just designates that it's a different product than this, right? But yeah, the consistency goes further than just the colors and the fonts, though. It's like, okay, you're formatting your slide, make sure everything's lined up, and make sure if you have bullets on your slide, if you put a period at the end of the bullet, then do that every time,
yes.
that kind of stuff.
Yes. We're like, yes, I'm so on the same page with you there. My mom, both my dad has published a few books, and my mom is an editor by her career, journalism and editor. And so I think and I've published, books as well. And I think I like see things just due to my, I don't know, genetic upbringing or whatever. Like I see little things. I'm like, that's, if you're going to use a hyphen here, then use a hyphen there. And if you're going to, capitalize the
Yes.
word, then keep capitalizing it, or don't, or pick one, pick a lane, do what. And so I really agree.
Yes, pick a lane. That's so true. Like, one of the most common examples of that is the word bestseller or best-selling. Do you put a
Yes.
hyphen? I mean, there's actually different ways that are
Yes.
considered correct, but pick that one and stick with it the way that you always write it. So
We were
yes.
having that with the word kickoff, and it's like, and it's an event. So it's like, okay, so do we want to capitalize it to, make it pop? Is there a hyphen? Is there not a hyphen? Is it one word? Is it two words? Because it's not really like, I mean, it's kind of one you could get away with either way, So it's like,
Yeah.
we're literally just having a conversation about like, how do we want to, let's make a decision. How are we actually going to say kickoff? But it's an email going out to thousands of people. So you want to be consistent.
I saw a t-shirt one time that said, "Does obsessive compulsive have a hyphen?" So yeah, you could go a little far with it, but whatever.
Oh,
Yeah, but it matters. See, the reason it matters though is that people subconsciously pick up on stuff like that, but they have no idea consciously why
yeah.
it looks funny to them or it looks unprofessional to them. But they're like, but I can't tell you what's the reason for the unprofessionalism. But it's those alignments, inconsistencies that overall pull together to make it or break it for your image.
Well, I noticed that in when I create my slides, like say if I have a banner that goes across for the headline, and then what I'll do is, and I was just talking to some clients about this the other day, I'll duplicate that slide because I don't even want the banner to be like off just by like this little bit, like a little teeny tiny millimeter. Because then when I flip that, if it's the next slide, that people will notice that little glitch,
That little,
right? That little
yes.
super tiny. And so I just want it to be as smooth as possible. I'm not always 100% successful, but that's the goal, is like, how can I get it as smooth as possible through the transitions?
Yes.
Very cool. All right, what's your second tip? I'm on the edge of my
All
seat.
right. Tip number 2, less is more. So we've all been in that presentation where they have crowded everything onto one slide and they've got like 10 bullets on there. And then worse than that, they read the bullets to
Oh, yeah.
you.
That's
So pare
horrible.
it down. Okay. So let's not have 10 bullets on one slide. Let's just have few words, fewer bullets, and not so many slides. Sometimes people have too many slides when they really should be having the focus on them. It kind of depends in this particular tip and the next one. What is the context? Because if you're a keynoter and you're up there and you've got two iMac screens next to you and it's a big audience, you really don't want to be killing them with too many slides because you want them to be looking at you. So that's certainly true. Less is more. Definitely less on the slide, maybe just a picture and two words or something. Like think Steve Jobs, think TED Talk, right? Those kinds of slides, simple, elegant. So yeah, I mean, it's just always too much. And people also just crowding images on there, like, oh my goodness, just clean it up, keep it simple, and again, stick to those design elements with your colors and stuff.
And
So.
I'll ask a question on here because I've
Mhm.
noticed a shift in how I do my PowerPoints depending on the in-person, which has been most of my speaking is in person, to now we have the last several months of all speaking is virtual. And I've gotten different feedback on you need a little bit more or to bring back the text a little bit more instead of photo or because I use a lot of pictures in my slide. Like I'll do like one slide, one picture, one it covers the whole slide. And so I got this feedback that for virtual I should bring back in text because now everyone's like in front of their laptop. So I added a couple bullets as where that was weird, my green screen glitched out. But I added a couple more bullets with a little bit of text lately. So I don't know if you've noticed any changes that we should be aware of for as we're going virtual, but it is a little bit different. It's kind of weird.
It is different. And that leads me right into tip number
Oh,
3. Thank you.
hey,
Because
cool.
so tip 2 was less is more. Tip 3 is, but sometimes more is better. And virtual is exactly what I'm talking about with this tip. So thank you. Because yes, when you have a virtual audience, there is an importance to keeping it moving and flowing. And so if somebody's just staring at their laptop and they're staring at the slide, that is more appropriate for a keynote. It's just a simple picture or something. It gets really boring really quickly. So what I would suggest for people for virtual is having more slides. So instead of having 5 bullets on a slide, which is already a little bit pushing it, having like one idea per slide, or revealing and building your bullets by animations and having that something changing. Because think about how we watch television. So if you pay attention to editing on TV shows, they're constantly cutting from one camera angle to the other. And it's almost like our brains are trained to just be like 2 seconds and another 2 seconds and another 3 seconds and another. So, when we're staring at screens, we kind of expect there to be some activity and movement and animation. So I am looking forward to the day that Zoom does some things a little bit differently with slides, because what right now most people's view is that they see either the speaker or the slides. And sometimes, especially on recordings, you could get like, okay, the little webcam tiny in the corner with the slide. I'd like to see more of a side by side or some other kind of view. And hopefully maybe even by the time, people are watching this, maybe there's some better viewpoints from that perspective. But yeah.
I think that's a great idea because as a presenter, where I get challenged sometimes that I don't have this challenge in person
Mhm.
with a PowerPoint is so I'm sharing the screen, but there's a point where I want to like, okay, stop looking at that for a second. Let me look at you and let's because I'm a more facilitative style speaker. So I have no problem getting feedback from the audience, processing people, managing anything that's going on in the room, no problem. And I think people remember that and like have that experience where I enjoy that kind of talk, and I think people tend to enjoy that as well for that purpose. I know there's different purposes for speaking. And so what I'm having to do is like, I'll just let them know I'm going to be going back and forth, sharing my screen. And sometimes I'll just completely like let it go. Once I've captivated them, I might go, okay, I think I'm just going to do the rest without the slides. I make that decision depending on how many people I'm talking to, but it's awkward, right? It's like, it's I gotta show the screen again and get back to you guys. And so I really agree with what you're saying, and I hope that something does change so that we can still like see the people and see this. I don't know. I'm not an inventor in that regard, but I really can't wait to see what they come up with because it's a little weird.
Yeah, I think there's a pause on the share so that you can hit pause share instead of stop.
Oh,
I
see,
think
I
that's right. I
learned
think that's right. We'll have to test it
something.
out later and make sure, but everyone check on that because I think that's true.
Okay, that would
If
be
I'm not
helpful.
mistaken.
Yeah, because
Hmm.
I just do the stop share. I haven't thought about pause share. Okay, see, always something to learn. Always something to learn. I love that.
I hope I'm right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do a quick Google search and figure it out, but that would be helpful. Yeah, so different things like that. Another thing that I've changed in my slides as a speaker is I moved. So my typical slides, I would have the banner. When I say banner, like a line with color, and it's like a
Hmm.
headline. Like my headline is at the top of the slide.
Hmm.
And in Zoom, when you share, the settings default right to the top. So it would cover up the heading for me. Those people
Hmm.
can still see it. But I still like to know if I'm going to be doing the slides and they're right in front of me, I'd like to know what the heading says. So what I did is I just bumped the banner down for now while I'm doing virtual presentations. That way I don't need to worry about moving the default settings anywhere. I just know where they are. And even like on the right hand side is usually where it defaults the guests, like whoever's going to be on the guests will be on the right.
Hmm.
So then I'm like, okay, then if I need to see anything or I want to see anything that's on the right, I just kind of move over. So there's
Yeah.
a couple of little tricks I've been doing along the way.
Well, I would also like to see PowerPoint make some changes along with Zoom because, presenter mode in PowerPoint, if you have two monitors, which I do, and I highly recommend to any speaker who's doing a virtual presentation, if you have two monitors, then you've got one monitor that you can share. That's whatever the audience is going to see, which is
Mhm.
the slideshow.
Right.
And then over here, where you're looking, hello, camera,
Yes,
you
camera.
can see the presentation notes and
Right.
then you've got like the next slide, but you're not really easily, at least on my configuration, you're not able to minimize that window very easily and kind of configure the windows. So it's so
I
helpful
just
right
gave up. I was
now.
like, I don't have two monitors. I don't really want two monitors, but I did play with all this and I was like, and I Googled it and I did like how can I do this? And I thought, okay, there were a couple of, and I don't remember because it was a few months back, but I couldn't find a solution that actually worked for me and with just one monitor. And I thought, okay, no notes then, which I don't in person. I never use notes anyway, so it's kind of already used to. I was already used to that. But I thought, ooh, this is kind of cool. I'm right in front of my laptop, and then I could just use my notes. But no, not for me. Didn't work out. But that's fine. Agreed. I cannot wait. Like all these new inventions. So sometimes there's always we can find light in the tunnel here of even if something has been we've got a monkey wrench, but we can find something that's positive, hopefully, and people will innovate something exciting um, for us to use in the future. It'd be kind of cool.
Yes, exactly.
And then tell us about how can people find you, Lorie?
Well, I have a present for everybody today. So I wrote an ebook because of all these pet peeves about slides. So they can go to slidemistakes.com and
Oh,
get it.
good one.
And the ebook is called 19 Astonishingly Common Slide Design Mistakes That Destroy Your Credibility. So
Oh,
it's all my pet peeves in one ebook, illustrated. I laid it out myself. You can see kind of how I did it because I explain how I did it in the book. So I would love it if you guys would get a lot out of that and use it and make yourself look a lot more professional.
very cool. So slidemistakes.com,
Yes.
and I will put that in the comments as well so people can see that. Well, you heard it here first, right? All these things that you need to know. Now more than ever, people are using PowerPoint. You're on Zoom, you're speaking whether you wanted to or not, because you're, because of what the situation is. So Even if you're networking, you're still speaking. If you're representing your business or your company, you're still speaking. So we want to make sure that you look and sound and act as professional as you can so that you can, increase your credibility. So go ahead and get Lori's slidemistakes.com. Is it
Yes, that's
slidemistakes.com?
right.
So that you don't make any of these massive mistakes, because these are probably things you're like, oh, that's a good one. I need to know that. Always more to learn. Meanwhile, I have one more question for you, Lorie.
Yes.
So the show's called Rock Your Talk. So I got to ask, who or what rock band is your favorite, like singer or rock band? Do you have a favorite?
I do. It's kind of an obscure band. They're called Over the Rhine. And it's this
German?
soulful, I don't think so. I think they're from sort of like the Georgia area or Tennessee.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but all I know is I love their stuff. They have
Awesome.
horns, they've got this real bluesy, gritty woman's voice, and just everything they do, I just love it. And they're my favorite band. So
Oh my gosh, I've never heard of that. I'm so
yeah.
excited to get to try something new. Yay. Okay, cool. I like it. All right. And then of course in honor of Eddie Van Halen, we'll dedicate this show to him. And of course, another amazing rock singer, no longer with us, but wow, definitely made a huge impact in our many people's lives, millions and millions of people's lives.
Yep.
So in Eddie's honor and in Lori's honor today, be kind to yourself, be kind to somebody else, and we will see you on the next episode. Remember to subscribe so that you get all the next cool tips that we have to offer from our experts on Rock Your Talk. We'll see you later.